What would you do if the person you loved chose your own brother instead? She didn't cry, she didn't stutter, she didn't even hesitate. She looked me in the eye and said, "I want a divorce, because I love your brother. We weren't broken, we weren't fighting, we weren't struggling, so why did she do it?" That question haunted me for months, until I found the answer in someone I never expected. My name is Michael, and this is the story of how I lost my wife, and found the love I should have seen all along. It started the way most love stories do, with a moment that felt harmless. It was Thanksgiving, the kind where the house smells like cinnamon, the football game plays in the background, and everyone brings a dish they swear is the family favorite. That year, Ryan hosted. He had just moved into a new apartment downtown, bigger kitchen, nicer view, and, unlike me, he was always surrounded by people. Loud, fast-talking, magnetic. I was the quieter one, the steady one, the one people leaned on, but didn't look at twice. That's where I saw her. Emily. She was helping in the kitchen, laughing at something Ryan said. Her laugh, it wasn't just pretty, it made you want to say something funny, just to hear it again. We spoke briefly. She offered me wine. I remember I said no, I don't drink much. She raised an eyebrow and called me a mystery. I didn't know then that she and Ryan had dated in college. I didn't know they had history, that their chemistry had once been real, and that for some reason, she had buried it, but never really let it go. Ryan never told me, and Emily? She acted like they were just friends catching up. I still wonder, was that night orchestrated? But back then, it felt pure, the start of something new. After dinner, she asked if I'd walk her to her car. It was cold. I offered her my coat. She smiled, tugged it closer around her, and said, "I could get used to you." We started texting the next day, then calling, then late-night conversations that lasted until the sun came up. She was smart, funny, ambitious. She told me she'd always wanted something stable, a man who didn't need the spotlight, someone who listened. And I listened. God, I listened to everything. Within a year, we were married. No drama, no red flags. Our wedding was small but beautiful. My brother stood by me as my best man. Emily stood in front of me, promising forever. My mom, Diane, kept smiling the whole day. She never suspected a thing. Even later, when it all unraveled, she never took sides. She loved us both too much to choose. And Claire, Emily's best friend. She was everywhere during the planning. She made the cake run, picked up Emily's dress, helped me pick my suit. But she never said much. She smiled, she helped, and she watched. If someone had asked me then, "Michael, are you happy?" I would have said yes, without thinking, without hesitation. Because sometimes, the most dangerous lies are the ones told in silence. I didn't know it then, but that Thanksgiving was the beginning of everything, and the end of everything too. The first year of our marriage felt like a dream. There was laughter, soft music in the kitchen, weekend trips to places we couldn't afford, but went anyway. We took pictures with ice cream dripping down our hands. She wore my shirts around the house. We'd fall asleep mid-conversation, legs tangled like we were afraid to let go. There was no warning, no shouting, no tears, just a quiet shift. It started with how she dressed. Heels on a Tuesday, new lipstick, hair curled when she said she was just going to run errands. Then came the late nights. "Ryan's working on a new project," she said. "He asked for my help with design stuff." I trusted her. She was my wife. And Ryan? He was my brother. But I started noticing things. The way she laughed at her phone. How she locked her screen when I entered the room. The perfume that lingered long after she claimed she was just running to the store. At dinner, she'd smile at something invisible. Not at me, not anymore. And then Claire noticed. She always noticed. "You're pulling away from him, Em. Don't destroy a good man chasing a fantasy." Maybe that's what I want. It was the first time I ever saw Claire genuinely angry. Not loud, just disappointed. Like watching someone walk toward the edge of a cliff and knowing they'll jump anyway. Ryan never said much to me during that time, but when I'd drop by his office unannounced, she was always there. Her hands on his laptop, her laughter echoing down the hall. I asked her once, "Do you talk to Ryan a lot lately?" She blinked, then smiled. "He's family, isn't he?" Family. That word used to mean safety to me. Now it just sounded like a warning I hadn't yet learned how to read. The change didn't scream. It whispered. But I heard it, even if I didn't want to believe it. There's a kind of silence that doesn't calm you. It unsettles you. It lives in glances, in half smiles, in things not said. That silence had started to take root in our home. I thought maybe work had her stressed. Or maybe I'd done something small, stupid, unnoticeable, left the dishes too long, forgot an anniversary that hadn't even arrived. So, I tried. I booked a table at her favorite rooftop spot, the one with the soft jazz and rosemary bread she always pretended she didn't love but devoured anyway. I dressed up. I got there early. I ordered her drink ahead of time, sparkling rose with 2 raspberries. She was supposed to meet me at 7. By 7:30, I was refreshing my phone. By 8 o'clock, I was on my second glass. By 9:15, she walked in like the wind had caught her and blown her here accidentally. She kissed me on the cheek like she hadn't left me waiting 2 hours. No apology, just a simple, "Traffic was crazy." Then she smiled, and texted someone under the table. I told myself not to ask. I didn't want to be the jealous type. I didn't want to believe my wife could lie to me, at least not about something like this. So I let it go. I laughed when she laughed. I paid the bill. And when we got home, she went straight to the shower, and I just sat there, staring at the front door like it might offer answers. But someone else saw what I refused to see. Claire. It was a Thursday afternoon. She was driving back from a meeting when she spotted 2 familiar figures outside a hotel near 8th and Main. It wasn't just the way they stood together, it was how close they were. Like 2 people who forgot the world was watching. She sat in her car for 10 minutes, staring at the hotel entrance, hands shaking, nails digging into her palm. She thought about calling me, then she thought about what it would do to me. She drove away, and said nothing. That night, she called Emily instead. They didn't speak long. Claire only said one thing: "You need to stop." Emily didn't argue. She didn't deny. She didn't even flinch. She just said, "You don't understand, Claire. You never have." The betrayal was blooming, and I was still clueless, watering a plant that had already started to rot. Meanwhile, Diane, our mother. She noticed something was shifting between her sons. She always had a good sense for tension, the kind that doesn't come from words, but from what's no longer being said. She asked me once, gently, while slicing carrots in her kitchen, "Is everything all right between you and your brother?" I smiled and said, "Yeah, why wouldn't it be?" She nodded, but didn't look convinced. Later, I found out she had asked Ryan the same thing. His answer: "It's all good, Mom, we're fine." 2 lies in one house. She didn't press. She just sighed. They're adults. I won't pick sides. And she didn't. Not even when she should have. Looking back, I wonder if deep down I knew something was wrong. If I stayed silent out of fear, because asking the question would have meant hearing the answer. I thought I was protecting the life we built, but what I was really doing was delaying the collapse. Some betrayals come like thunderstorms, loud, sudden, violent. Others arrive in silence, with candles, wine, and a woman you've loved your entire adult life. That night, I cooked, not because it was our anniversary, not because it was a special day, but because I missed her. I thought, maybe if we just sat across from each other again, without distractions, without Ryan, without her phone, maybe I'd see the version of her I fell in love with. She was late, not enough to be rude, just enough to make it feel intentional. When she walked in, she didn't look surprised. Not by the candles, not by the roses, not by the effort. She looked bored. I pulled out her chair. She didn't thank me. We sat. I asked about her day. She gave one-word answers. I poured her wine. She sipped once, then pushed the glass away. I asked her, "Is everything okay?" She blinked, smiled, tilted her head slightly. "I want a divorce." I thought I misheard her. I actually laughed. A small, stupid laugh that didn't sound like mine. "What?" She didn't blink, didn't fidget, didn't cry. "I want a divorce." My throat tightened. I reached for her hand. She pulled it away. "Why?" "Because I love your brother." That sentence didn't just hit me, it hollowed me out. She could have said anything else. That she was unhappy, that we'd grown apart, that she needed space. But she said that she loved Ryan. I remember standing up, dizzy. I must have asked something, maybe I begged her to explain, but I don't remember my own voice anymore. I remember hers though. It was so steady, so final. We didn't mean for it to happen, but it did, and I can't pretend anymore. And then, as if the night hadn't already shredded me, I heard it, the crunch of tires on gravel. I looked through the window. Ryan's car, parked in my driveway, like he belonged there. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. She stood, grabbed her purse, and walked to the door without looking back. Not a single tear, not a crack in her voice, just the sound of heels against hardwood. She didn't say goodbye, she didn't even close the door behind her. I don't remember how long I stood there. Might have been minutes, might have been hours. I do remember the sound of Claire's voice. The next day, soft, careful. I saw them, weeks ago, outside that hotel on 8th. I wanted to tell you, Michael, but I couldn't. You weren't ready to hear it. And she was right. I wasn't ready to hear it, because hearing it meant I'd have to admit that the person I loved the most had been gone long before she ever walked out. People talk about heartbreak like it's this sharp, sudden thing. But the truth is, it lingers. It seeps. It walks with you into rooms that used to feel like home, sits across from you at the dinner table, and climbs into bed beside you, whispering, "She chose him." I didn't sleep that night, didn't eat the next day. I just sat in the living room, lights off, listening to the silence she left behind. By noon, I got the first message. Emily's mom. A short, polite text. "We hope you find peace in this transition. If Emily's happy, we're happy." It felt rehearsed, like a press release from someone who didn't want their reputation stained by the wreckage they supported. Later that day, I checked Instagram. I shouldn't have, but I did. Her smile looked wider. His hand on her waist looked casual, like it belonged there. They moved in together the week she left me. That part stung the most. Not because they did it, but because it told me this wasn't a moment of passion. It was a plan. She didn't fall into Ryan's arms. She walked there, step by calculated step, while I was busy folding laundry and cooking dinner. And what about Diane? My mom, the woman who raised us both, who always reminded us, no matter what, your brother is your blood. She didn't yell, didn't cry, didn't storm over to either of us demanding explanations. She visited me the day after Emily left, brought soup, sat across from me, didn't ask any questions, just looked tired. I don't know what happened. I just know I love you both, and I'm not going to be the referee in a war I didn't start. She visited Ryan the next day too. I knew because she told me, and I didn't get angry. I was too numb for that, but not everyone stepped back. The next morning, Derek showed up at my door with a six-pack and a pair of hiking boots. Meanwhile, Emily and Ryan continued their carefully curated fairy tale. Date nights, matching t-shirts, cheesy captions, no remorse, no apologies, not even a glance in my direction. But maybe, that was the best gift they could have given me. The clarity to finally stop chasing ghosts. There's something sacred about silence when it's filled with loyalty. Not the silence of betrayal, but the kind that waits. The kind that stays. Weeks had passed since Emily left. The texts had slowed. The photos stopped surprising me. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, Claire's silence started to mean more than any words ever could. She never asked me how I was feeling. She just let me feel it. And one evening, after work, she texted again. "I'm on the rooftop. Come up if you want." The sun had just dipped below the skyline. The city looked quiet, tired, like it was holding its breath. She didn't turn when I came up, just nodded toward the empty chair beside her. We sat in silence for a while, the kind that doesn't itch or bite, just settles. I finally asked, "Did you know?" I knew something was wrong. I didn't know how far it had gone, but I knew she stopped looking at you the way she used to. I stared straight ahead. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I just listened. Then, after a long pause, she whispered something I wasn't ready for. "You don't see it, but I've always been here." I turned to her. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking out at the buildings, her voice barely above the breeze. "Not waiting for you to leave her. Not waiting to be chosen. Just here, helping you pick out birthday gifts, holding your arm during family barbecues, bringing soup when you got sick, and yeah, watching you love someone who didn't see you the way I did." I didn't know what to say. I opened my mouth, closed it again, because the truth, I'd always known. I just never let myself acknowledge it. Claire never competed. She never pointed fingers. She never asked for anything. She just stayed. I finally spoke. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you were happy. Or at least, you believed you were. And I loved you enough not to ruin that." It was the most honest thing I'd heard in months. No manipulation. No agenda. No lies buried in pretty words. Just a woman, sitting on a rooftop, telling me that she loved me, and never expected anything in return. That night, I walked home slower. Not confused. Not in pain. Just aware that something I'd been searching for was never lost. It had just been waiting. Patiently. Quietly. Faithfully. And for the first time since my wife left me, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt seen. Healing doesn't come with fireworks. There's no switch you flip. It arrives quietly, through the ordinary, through the small moments that remind you life didn't end, it just changed. The morning after that rooftop conversation with Claire, I woke up to silence. But for the first time, it wasn't painful. It was peaceful. I made coffee. I opened the windows. And for the first time in months, I didn't check Emily's social media. Instead, I opened a blank notebook, and I wrote. The first entry wasn't poetic, it wasn't insightful, but it was real. Every day after that, I wrote something. Sometimes just a sentence, sometimes a memory I wished I could forget. I started cooking again, not out of habit, not for anyone else, just for me. Simple meals, spaghetti, chicken stew, burnt rice once or twice, but I plated them like they mattered. On weekends, I'd walk through the farmer's market, smelling things I never bought. And every now and then, Claire would join me. She never pushed, never asked, "Where is this going?" She just kept showing up. One Saturday, I found her in my kitchen. She'd brought over croissants. I was making coffee. And it hit me, this was the first time I had laughed, genuinely laughed, in months. This feels safe. She didn't reply, just smiled and reached for the butter. There was no rush between us. No grand confessions, just presence, and time. Then one night, a storm knocked out the power. We lit candles, made tea over the fire pit in the backyard, wrapped ourselves in old quilts. She was sitting across from me, face lit by the flicker of flames, and I realized, there was no part of me that missed what I had lost. I missed who I used to be before I gave my heart to someone who didn't want it. I stood up, walked around the fire, and I sat beside her. No speech, no plan, just a whisper. "You were the one who stayed." She didn't say anything at first. She just stared at me, like she was waiting for the moment to vanish. Then, her lips curled into the softest smile, and a single tear slid down her cheek. "I always will." I didn't get down on one knee. I didn't have a ring in my pocket. I didn't need one. I just said the words that had been sitting in my chest for weeks. "I don't know where this will go, but I want to find out, with you, only you." And in that moment, with no music, no audience, no perfect backdrop, she said yes. Not because she'd been waiting her whole life to hear it, but because she believed in the kind of love that doesn't demand attention. The kind that shows up, and never leaves. That night, the storm passed. The candles burned out, but something in me had relit. This wasn't revenge. This wasn't rebound. This was renewal. Some stories don't end with apologies. Some betrayals don't come with closure. And some people, they never look back, because they don't have to. Emily and Ryan got what they wanted. They built their version of a life. A new apartment with big windows and neutral-colored walls. They had a baby, a little girl named Mia. Their Instagram turned into a scrapbook of curated joy. Matching pajamas at Christmas. Brunches with tiny forks and captioned #FamilyFirst. Birthday balloons, gender reveals, first steps. They never reached out. No calls, no texts, not even on the anniversary of the divorce. Not even when I would have picked up. And maybe that silence was the real goodbye. Diane, my mother, remained Diane. She didn't withdraw, didn't take sides. She showed up to both houses with the same smile, the same softness. She loved them both. Her loyalty wasn't in judgment. It was in presence. Life doesn't always split the way we want it to, but that doesn't mean I stopped loving my children. She never asked about the pain, never tried to fix anything. She just kept showing up. At first, I thought I'd feel rage when I saw Emily and Ryan with their daughter. I thought I'd look at their photos and feel what they took from me. But the truth is, I felt nothing. Not because I forgave them, not because I forgot, but because I moved on. Claire and I weren't trying to one-up them. We weren't trying to erase what happened. We were just building something honest. There were no hashtags in our story, no matching outfits, just two people choosing each other without the need to perform. One evening, we ran into Ryan and Emily at a grocery store. Mia was in the cart, chewing on a cracker. Emily smiled tightly. Ryan said nothing, and I nodded once, and kept walking. That moment confirmed what I had started to believe. I didn't hate them anymore. I just didn't care. And that, in its own quiet way, was freedom. There's no real ending to betrayal, only acceptance. You stop asking why. You stop hoping they'll understand. You stop reliving it, and you start living again. They got what they wanted, and so did I. There's something sacred about simplicity. No guest list politics, no forced smiles, no promises made to please others, just two people, who had been broken, bruised, betrayed, but still believed in love enough to try again. Our wedding wasn't grand, it wasn't a spectacle, it wasn't meant to impress, it was peaceful, and that made it perfect. It was just family, friends who stayed, people who saw the mess and didn't run from it. Claire looked radiant, not because of her dress, not because of makeup, but because of the calm in her eyes, the way she looked at me, like I was home. She didn't walk toward me like a bride, she walked toward me like she'd been walking beside me all along. And now, we were just meeting at the middle. When she reached me, I whispered, "You still sure?" She didn't laugh, she didn't blink. Always, the officiant began. The vows were short, we didn't talk about forever, we talked about today, and tomorrow, and choosing, every day, even when it's hard. No one cried loudly, no one gasped, no dramatic music, but in the distance, someone watched. I didn't see her at first, Claire did. She spotted Emily standing near the edge of the dunes, partly behind a shrub. She wasn't dressed for a wedding, she wasn't smiling, she wasn't crying either, she was just there, watching. Claire didn't flinch, didn't ask for permission. She handed her bouquet to Diane, and walked across the sand. They stood face to face, the woman who left me, and the woman who stayed. Emily didn't say anything at first, she didn't need to, her presence already said too much. Claire took one breath, just one, and then she spoke. "He's not yours anymore, and I won't let you ruin this. You don't get to show up now, when it's already safe." Emily's eyes didn't widen, she didn't fight, she didn't play the victim, she just nodded once. "I'm not here to ruin anything, I just wanted to see it." Claire didn't soften, didn't pity her, she nodded back, turned around, and walked back toward me. I asked her what happened. She said, she came to watch. I made sure she didn't stay. I looked out at the waves, the horizon, the slow exhale of the sea, and I realized, I was finally free. That day wasn't just a wedding, it was a quiet revolution, a reminder that sometimes, peace doesn't come when the pain ends, but when you choose not to carry it anymore. And there, with sand beneath our feet, and the woman who never left beside me, I said the words I never got to say the first time, this time. I choose you. When people talk about divorce, they use words like failure or broken. But sometimes, a divorce is a door that closes on the life you thought you wanted, so you can walk into the one you actually deserve. I used to replay the day Emily said she wanted a divorce. Every word, every silence. I'd lie awake wondering, what did I do wrong? Was I not enough? But the truth is, I was enough. She just didn't want what I had to offer. You can't make someone stay who already left in their heart. You can't love someone back into integrity. Emily left for reasons she didn't fully explain, maybe even to herself. She moved on. She found Ryan. She built a family, and I used to believe that her happiness meant I had lost, that she had won. But peace doesn't come from comparison, it comes from clarity. Now, I don't hate Emily, I don't hate Ryan, I don't wish them failure, but I also don't wish them anything at all, because when I look at Claire, at the life we've built, I finally understand something no one teaches you about heartbreak. Losing someone doesn't always mean you lost something. I used to think love had to be loud, big gestures, grand statements, fireworks, but real love? It's quiet, it's steady, it stays. Claire never needed to compete, she never demanded, she just remained. And it's not about upgrading, this isn't revenge, it's not justice, it's just truth. The truth is, I am not the man I was when she left me. I'm not bitter, I'm not broken, I'm better, because I faced it all, because I walked through the fire, and came out carrying only the parts of me that deserve to survive. You don't know your strength until you have to use it. You don't know your worth until someone tries to discount it. And maybe, you don't know love until it walks in after someone else walked out. I still think about that night, the dinner, the wine, the 4 words that changed everything. I want a divorce. But now, I think about what came after, too. The growth, the quiet, the woman who stayed. So no, I didn't lose her. I lost someone who didn't choose me, and in doing that, I found the one who always did. If someone ever leaves you for someone else, remember this, they didn't replace you, they freed you. And if you've ever been betrayed, if you've ever been left behind, don't ask why they walked away, ask yourself what you're ready to walk into, Because you're not a victim of heartbreak. You're the author of your next chapter. Some people walk away so that better ones can find their way in.